My name is Peter Lee, and I'm a research fellow in the Center for Regional Studies here at the Arson Institute for Policy Studies, working on US Indo-Pacific strategy.
Hello, I'm Kang Chung-gu, a principal associate working on public opinion at the Arson Institute.
Today we'll be sharing our latest issue brief, comparing Allied public confidence in US extended nuclear deterrence. So South Korean public sentiment is often portrayed in commentary and media coverage as somehow being an outlier or reflecting a hawkish disposition towards nuclear armament. We often see reports of 60+% of South Korean public wanting to acquire nuclear weapons. And surveys also show that the public wants their own nuclear weapons regardless of what assurances the United States provides. So in this issue brief, we wanted to put these views in comparative context with other US allies who enjoy different levels of extended nuclear deterrence arrangements. For instance, the United States continues to deploy B-61 tactical nuclear bombs in Europe while refusing to do the same in East Asia and the Indo-Pacific. So we actually argue that South Korean support for nuclear armament reflects a condition in which the South Korean people do not have the kinds of nuclear assurances that other European allies enjoy. So put simply, if South Korea had the same level of extended nuclear deterrence arrangement as that enjoyed by some European allies, there may be similarly low support for independent nuclear armament as in Europe.
As shown in Figure 1, though South Korea and United States strengthened extended nuclear deterrence by having Washington Declaration and Trilateral Summit in 2023, South Korean public confidence in U.S. extended deterrence has actually declined, not increased. A survey by Che Institute for Advanced Study in December 2023 found that public confidence had dropped to 39.3%, showing more than 6 percentage point decrease since March 2023. This shows that South Korean confidence in the credibility of U.S. extended deterrence remained relatively low.
So it's worth pointing out that the ROK-US nuclear debate is not happening in isolation. The US provides extended nuclear deterrence commitments to many allies in both the Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic regions. So Figure 2 shows the strongest level of nuclear assurance enjoyed by various US allies. At the highest end, we have some allies who have their own nuclear arsenals, such as the United Kingdom, France, and Israel. Beneath that, the US deploys B-61 gravity bombs in 5 European countries, including Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey. Meanwhile, in the Indo-Pacific, the US withdrew all of its tactical nuclear weapons by the end of the Cold War from places like Taiwan, the Philippines, and South Korea. It's important to point out that ultimately the United States retains operational control over all of its own nuclear weapons, in all of these cases, short of where allies have their own independent nuclear arsenal. So we wanted to see whether the type of nuclear arrangement that affects the public confidence in US assurances, as well as support for different extended deterrence measures. So as we can see in Figure 3, we focused on perceived threat and support for hosting US tactical nuclear weapons as one cross-regional comparison to illustrate the broader relationship between extended deterrence and public confidence. As you can see here in Figure 3, Allied publics who state the highest confidence, highest levels of perceived threat, but do not host US tactical nuclear weapons, are most in favor of enhanced nuclear weapons cooperation with the United States. In particular, South Korea and Poland stand out as cases where the publics appear to be very insecure, and they also lack concrete nuclear assurances. By contrast, countries such as Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany, which do host US tactical nuclear weapons, show very low levels of perceived threat.
Recent study of South Korean public opinion have found support for both deployment of US tactical nuclear weapon as well as the acquisition of an independent nuclear capability. This has been interpreted to suggest that a majority of South Korean public is fundamentally committed to seeking nuclear weapons regardless of what United States might do We join this debate by having a cross-national comparison of extended deterrence and its competence across U.S. allies. Much of literature lacked a relevant cross-regional context to see whether such sentiments are outlier or the norm among the U.S. allies. Figure 4 shows European public confidence in the U.S. extended deterrence. As shown in the survey conducted after Russian invasion to Ukraine, Italy and Germany, which host U.S. tactical nuclear weapons, show higher confidence compared to Spain, which does not host U.S. tactical nuclear weapons. This actually suggests that a lack of concrete or tangible nuclear deterrence, like deploying U.S. nuclear weapons, plays a critical role in shaping public confidence in U.S. nuclear assurances.
So in conclusion, rather than a genuine desire for independent nuclear armament, which is often how it's characterized in media coverage, we hypothesize that South Korean public opinion instead reflects a well-justified lack of confidence in the current U.S. extended deterrence policy settings vis-a-vis the U.S. allies. So if South Korea were to have the same kinds of extended deterrence arrangements as European allies, there might be similarly low support for nuclear armament. And ultimately, we would only be able to tell whether that actually exists if there were nuclear weapons deployed in South Korea, as there are in other US allies. We think this helps explain why South Korean public opinion superficially appears like an extreme outlier, when in fact it sits rather within the norm of US allied sentiment. In conclusion, we first recognize that our issue brief primarily deals with public confidence, which is only one measure of the efficacy of extended deterrence. Obviously, there is a debate around operational utility, which we do not really get into in this issue brief. Secondly, we think ROC-US alliance managers need to make a better job of paying attention to the communication of how the Washington Declaration and the NCG arrangements under the Nuclear Consultative Group are playing out in the South Korean public. Finally, we think the ROC and the US need to continue discussions on what kinds of operational thresholds are needed to advance to a more sophisticated level of extended nuclear deterrence arrangement vis-a-vis other European allies. We hope, in conclusion, that this issue brief contributes to a better understanding of South Korean insecurities at a time of increasing North Korean nuclear threats, as well as rising threats from China and Russia. Thank you for watching, and you can download our issue brief at the Asan Institute's website, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.